Well, that's fucking great. Part of my uh, optimism with the Vikings for this year was, you know, we had a horrible, horrible injury year in 2020, but typically those things go in cycles. One year you might have horrible injury luck, next year you don't. Clearly, clearly that optimism is misplaced because find out today, fucking Eric Kendricks, he's going in for an MRI on something with his knee. What the fuck? When did this? When the fuck did this happen? How is it? How is you played on Sunday? It's now Thursday. Thursday afternoon, and you're just now like, just now he's got some injury that he's going in for an MRI. Where the fuck did this happen? I swear to God, we are fucking. I mean, we can already say we're cursed, but we are absolutely cursed when it comes to injuries. I mean, Darrisaw's still out because of an injury. Barr, I don't think Anthony Barr is ever playing for the Vikings again. I mean, at this point, you have to assume that because you know it bugs me to an extent that they won't come out and say what the fuck is happening with Barr because he hasn't played. You know, you know, it kept making it sound even before the week one game that like, oh well, maybe he's got a shot, but then they held him on and was like, oh okay, well maybe they're just being extra cautious. Well, now it looks like he's not going to play again. Like, is this going to stretch into multiple months with Barr waiting for this guy? Like, I'm sorry, but you know, you know, it's not like they have to tell us every single detail of injuries, but just fucking be straight with your fan base, straight with even with media. Just be straight about what the hell is up with these guys. Now, how the hell did Eric Kendricks get hurt, and how did he get hurt? You know, to a degree that he's it's what 4 days after the game, and only now he's going in for an MRI on his knee or whatever. Like, what is happening here? And of course this goes back to last year when they have all the stuff with Danielle Hunter, where you know, and maybe they thought it was a tweak. Zimmer even joked about having called it a tweak, and then he's out for the year. I mean, is this a twin situation where we have to start looking at um, what the training staff is doing or not doing? I mean, you know, obviously football has more like fluky type injuries than anything. I mean, like Jefferson gets hurt in the preseason because he kind of falls on his shoulder like that, or a guy tears an ACL or whatever. You know, those don't really have anything to do with conditioning and all that stuff. But you know, you know, part of the reason I think they held Kendricks out last year, the whole month of December, was just that the odds that they were going to get in the playoffs were not looking too good. Now, if they played him, would they have gotten in? I don't know, but it's doubly frustrating because it's not just that you're having major important players. I mean, we might be going into a game against Kyler Murray, one of the best running quarterbacks in football, and we might have only our best linebacker is going to be Nick Vigil. And look, Vigil played nice against the Bengals, but if he's your best linebacker in a game against Kyler Murray, you're fucked. Um, you know, but it's doubly frustrating when you're losing players, and then you lose them for mysterious reasons that they won't talk about. And maybe they'll talk about the Kendricks thing here, at some point. Although I guess he talked to the media today. He had a media session before this news about the MRI comes out. Well, did he fall off the podium after talking to the media? What happened? And what's up with Barr? Why are these things happening? Why was there something with Darrisaw that took, like this, like I think Zimmer had said, like, he thought the surgery that Darrisaw had before, like, what, way back in the offseason was enough, and then that, oh no, we still have to do something, early in training camp. Well, why are these things happening? You know, like, I've been questioning this with the Twins all year, how the Twins are just a joke at keeping any player healthy. Like, is this a Twin situation where the training staff really needs to be looked at, and what they're doing and not doing, and how they're evaluating, injuries and rehabs and everything? Or, I assume it's not like a uniform thing across the league, that everyone does everything exactly the same. Are the Vikings doing something wrong? Because, you know, this bar thing is really, I try to give them leeway on things before I kind of get pissed off. But I'm pissed off on this bar thing because no one wants to say anything. No one wants to say what the fuck is happening with this very important player for this team. And now Kendricks is suddenly hurt 4 days after a game in which he played the whole game. Didn't say anything about him being hurt. He hadn't been on the injury report prior to today. And now suddenly he's not only hurt but going in for an MRI. And you're not going in for an MRI unless it's something serious. They don't just hand out MRIs like candy. Like, that's, if you're doing an MRI, there's something wrong, or there's very, there's reason to think there's something wrong. And it's really starting to get like the vibes, man. The vibes on this team, beyond just even what's on the field, like the vibes are just, everything is negative. Everything looks terrible right now. And you're going into a tough schedule. You got to face Kyler Murray this week. You got to face Russell Wilson the next week, and you're going to do that, and you're going to be like short your two linebackers maybe, because I don't know. You have to assume the worst at this point with Barr and now with Kendricks. You have to assume, because that's just how it is with this team right now. You have to assume the worst injury scenario. Darrisaw's practicing, I guess, so that's good. Like, maybe they can get him back in there, but this is ridiculous. I don't get it. How do you have guys who just aren't hurt, and then they're just suddenly hurt? And maybe they'll come out and they'll actually explain it, but they haven't explained it with Anthony Barr, and we're going on the second game of the season where he's not going to play, and no one wants to say anything. And this team could be spiraling here, and they're not going to have, it's like, you expect a level of injuries every year because that's just the way it is with football. But, they got absolutely destroyed last year by major injuries to major players, and it looks like it's happening again.